Financial literacy is an initiative that's happening right now at the federal level and also in Ontario schools. Today we have back Warren MacKenzie, who recently made a presentation to the Financial Literacy Task Force when it was in Toronto. Welcome back, Warren.
Thank you.
So what were you basically telling them?
Well, my presentation was to say that the financial literacy is not the biggest problem. It'd be great if people were more financially literate, but the real problem is that people don't understand the rules of the game. They are talking to their financial advisors, thinking that the advisor has their best interest at heart, but they don't realize that their advisor is commission-based in most cases, and therefore there's a conflict of interest. Other countries have resolved this, like Great Britain and Australia, and starting in 2012, they're not going to be required to hold themselves out as giving advice and also collecting commissions. So that was one of my points. And the other point was that to solve the financial literacy problem, it would be very simple if investment firms and banks were required to put information on the statements to show how you're doing compared to a benchmark.
Well, I think the reason they don't make it easy is because they would be ashamed of their
well, of course,
their performance.
Of course, but if people understood that, then they would be a little more. They'd ask a few more questions of their advisor. But because they think that the advisor is working in their best interest and that the bank is on their side, they don't ask the questions that they would if they knew they were dealing with a sales organization.
Now, one thing I'm curious, when you first launched the firm 5 years ago, and it was at the same time you wrote the book, The Unbiased Advisor, you had a fairly memorable title, Second Opinion. Everybody likes a second opinion. And yet you changed it to something I can never remember, which is Way House.
Way House, yeah.
Why did you do that?
Well, there were several reasons. One is that we do much more than just give a second opinion. And we would like to have people see us as the first people you would come to.
First opinion instead of second
first
opinion.
And so that was one reason. Another reason is that we didn't quite have the right URL. And if you went to second opinion singular, you found somebody else. So we wanted to have a URL that was our own. And then I guess the third thing is that the banks are spending a lot of money promoting their second opinions. And we thought there was a little bit of confusion. Anybody can offer a free second opinion, and it's worth what you pay for. So we wanted to distinguish ourselves that way. And a little story about the Way House. Back in the 1600s, it was before the weights and measures were standardized. And people would come to the town with their crops, and the value of the crop depended on who owned the scale. So the king established these weigh houses in each town where you could go and get unbiased, objective advice or a value of your produce. Well, 400 years later, people still need unbiased, objective valuations of what they have. And so we thought the Way House was a nice way to present that.
Now, let's talk about, because last segment we closed, we were talking about you're a little scared of the market's values in the stock market. Now, traditionally, of course, the biased advisors are accused of having an equity bias to get paid more in equities. Therefore, they tilt their client portfolios a little bit more to equities.
Yes.
Presumably, you have no such interest. So if you believed your asset allocation should be 60% bonds, you could say so.
Exactly, yes. And we believe the way to find the right asset allocation, it's not with a risk tolerance questionnaire, which is an emotional thing. It's by a financial plan. Do a financial plan, see this is what I have, and in order to achieve all of my goals, this is the return I need. And if that happens to be 6%, you design a portfolio accordingly. So bottom line is you're taking no more risk than necessary to achieve whatever your goals are.
Now, currently, if you believe that the stocks are getting pricey, but the problem, of course, with rising interest rates is you can also lose money on bonds right now, especially long bonds. So where do you go?
Oh, well,
for safety.
Well, you're not, you have to be short-term bonds. And I just have to tell you, I came across a situation within this last month of an 80-year-old lady who had about 75% of her portfolio was in bonds that were maturing in 2039. So that was certainly a bad situation.
I guess she didn't smoke.
No.
Thanks very much, Warren MacKenzie, the president and founder of Way House Investor Services in Toronto.
Thank you.